Hazard identification is the key to good health and safety practice. Whether you are taking a formal or informal approach, it is a process that you may already be doing now. A hazard is any source or situation that has the potential to cause injury or ill health, damage to property, the environment, or a combination of these. It might involve a task, equipment, or even a chemical or substance used at the school. A hazard also includes a source or situation that has the potential to lead to psychological harm. Managing or controlling the hazard can mean the difference between an incident and a safe workplace. Here's how the hazard management process works, using the find, assess, fix, or FAF process.
So Nick, we've had a report of gas smell coming from around this area, so can you have a look at that for me? Yep.
Find. By using a problem-solving process, you identify the hazard. Assess. Gather information through a risk assessment process. Fix. Then take action to control the hazard. It's the legal responsibility of an employer to proactively involve employees who are affected by the hazard in the hazard management process. So let's take a look at each of these steps and some practical ways of performing them. You can find a hazard in a number of different ways. You can find a hazard informally, or you can identify hazards in a formal process.
You've got to look for any damage or weather exposure.
Someone could also inform you of a hazard, such as a student or a contractor.
Thanks for telling me, Jacob.
You can assess or undertake a risk assessment in a number of different ways. When you find a hazard, you may automatically think what you can do about the situation, which means you are assessing on the spot. You might need to gather more information about the hazard to assist you to find the right way of controlling it. You have identified a hazard and you have assessed the risk and found out all the information you need to come up with a solution. The final step is to fix the problem or put in place something to control the hazard. This might be a simple one-step fix, but if the problem is quite complex, you might put in place an interim fix. This is referred to as a remedial action, which immediately reduces the risk, followed by another action to fix the situation long term. Firstly, we'll look at informally identifying a hazard, assessing it and fixing it. You have identified a hazard and take immediate action to fix the situation. It's advisable to involve your employer or HSR officer to discuss the hazard. Now let's examine a more formal process of identifying hazards. A successful approach is a joint inspection by the HSR and a member from another department, as a fresh set of eyes always helps.
Find the items that are on the list.
This creates a systematic approach to hazard management, helping to identify and manage hazards before they cause any harm. Once we have managed our hazards, we then need to consult with employees so that they are aware that the hazards exist and what control methods are being put in place to reduce the risk. Here are a few ways we can consult with employees. At team meetings, at health and safety committee meetings, one-on-one meetings. We also need to advise any contractors of hazards that they may come across when performing work for the school. Students should also be encouraged to report hazards, either directly to a teacher or using hazard identification forms, so that anyone can report a hazard. Monitoring hazards to ensure that the controls we have put in place are working can be done in a variety of ways. This includes regular inspections of areas where a checklist is completed, regular reviewing of hazard management documentation, and implementing an annual monitoring program. This provides an opportunity to update documentation as hazards are eliminated. As we have reviewed, it is important to undertake the Find, Assess, Fix process. Just as important is the recording of information to ensure that hazards identified are not lost. It is also important to retain the information so that it can be referred to during inductions for new employees or for the regular review of the controls you have implemented. If you spot a hazard, take action. Remember, safety is everyone's responsibility.
Effective communication and consultation is essential for optimal hazard management and learning outcomes. Hazards also need to be regularly monitored to maximise the effect of implemented control measures. We can't eliminate all hazards in our lives, but we can take proactive steps to minimise the associated risk.